Welcome, Golden Speakers, guests, viewers at home, to another meeting of the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club of Fairfield, Iowa.
Yeah.
It's now my pleasure to call up our president, Louis Denbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant-at-Arms. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Golden Speakers Toastmasters. We meet here every Tuesday night at 7:45 in the club room at Hy-Vee, in the back by the ice cream, aisle 13. So please join us. Guests are always welcome. I'd like to start with the mission of Toastmasters. The mission of our club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which each and every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication skills and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. We are a non-discriminatory club. All are welcome above the age of 18, and as long as you have the ability to participate in the Toastmaster events. How many people mentioned Toastmasters this week? All right. Good, good, good. People hear about Toastmasters by hearing about it from a member. That is the primary way people find out about our club, and that is the way we get new members. And we're always looking for new members. New members enrich our club. They bring a variety of new topics and speeches and different ways of communicating. So we welcome everybody. And who are our guests tonight? Luke, would you like to say what brought you here tonight?
Sure. Well, for me, it looks like I might have a job starting this spring that's going to involve a fair amount of public speaking. So I just got that notice yesterday that the compensation that I wanted was approved, and so now I'm feeling it out to see if, just make sure. But getting a head start, because definitely if I'm going to do that, I'm going to be here every Tuesday. So that pushed me over the edge.
Very good.
Yeah.
We'll hear from you at the end of the meeting. And now I'd like to turn our meeting over to our Toastmaster tonight, Will Burns.
Thank you, Louis. Now we will start with the introductions of our role players tonight. Starting off with our timer, Lindsay McMartin.
So tonight I will be keeping track of everyone's time during their speech with the light. The green light comes on at 1 minute, the yellow light comes in at 1:30, and the red light comes in at 2 minutes for the table topics. For the speech we have planned, it's 5 to 7 minutes. The green light will come on at 5 minutes, and the yellow light 6, red at 7.
Thank you. Moving right along to our next role player. It's a pleasure to introduce our grammarian, Dan Craig.
My role as grammarian is, first of all, to give you the word of the day. Our theme is epic film, so the word is blockbuster. It means something such as a film that achieves enormous success, or it can be a high explosive device used for demolition purposes. Try to use it in that second manner tonight. A sentence for illustration would be, Titanic was the blockbuster film of its time. The other part of my role is to listen to the language that's used during the meeting, to make note of any exceptionally good or bad use of language, and to give a brief report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Moving on to our odd counter. My pleasure to call up Sandy Lee Magrum.
The odd counter, and the odd counter's job is to note all of the different words and the different sounds that people use as space fillers. But, and. So that's my job tonight.
Finally, our general evaluator tonight shall be Rick Starr. And we will have, let's go again and give a hand. Our beer drug master tonight is Jean Simonton Craig. I'm sure we'll have a good one. And our ballad leader, she always brings a famous quality for our club. Our ballad leader counter will be Louis Denbon. And now, to read objectives for our first speaker, my pleasure to call up his evaluator, Annalisa Fredrickson.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Luis. He's going to be doing his second speech from the Competent Communicator Manual. And the objective is to organize your speech. So a little about Luis. He was born in Bogota, Colombia. He lived there till he was 14 until he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where he learned English and finished high school. He then moved to Fairfield at the age of 20 to start college, and here he is. The title of his speech is The Tripod of Health.
Health. Health. Health. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Just as there are many ways in which a man can say the word health, there are also many meanings to this word, many attached meanings to this word. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the word health means the condition of being well, or the condition of being free from injury. I have a question for you. What does health mean to you? What does it mean to you? How about you? Today I'll tell you three things. What does health mean to me? How do I apply health in my daily life? And my word of advice, my suggestion. So number one, what does health mean to me? To me, health has very much to do with homeostasis and our ability to thrive. The word homeostasis may take you back to your freshman biology class in high school, but homeostasis simply means our ability to bring balance. The ability our body has to bring things into balance. Our internal organs, our internal mechanisms are always bringing things the right pH, just the right pH. And then once everything is healed, our body can then level up, thrive. Now, I know I'm talking about organs and internal mechanisms and all that, but our physical health is not the only thing that comprises health. There's also the mind, the way in which we see the world and that we see ourselves. Every circumstance, people, and environment that we're in, we're always bringing in our belief systems, ideas, and concepts, which is very useful, mind you. I mean, that's how we got here, right? But it's important to take into account that our ancestors also had to step outside of the box and use their boldness, creativity, and courage to come up with all these inventions that have made us be where we are today. So I believe that the mind needs to be exposed to critical thinking for it to be able to absorb the creative fragrance of just thinking, stepping outside of the social norm, what's considered to be. Now the third part to the tripod of health is the emotional health, our emotional body. Normally we think of health as our body and our mind, but in this era where it's like the emotional dark age, emotions get tossed aside. People forget that the way that they feel is dependent with all the other aspects of the tripod. One affects the other. Now at this point you may be wondering, but Luis, what about our spiritual health? Isn't that kind of important? Don't we need some energy and time to give to our spiritual needs? And well, the answer is no. Let me tell you what. I believe our spirit is already immutable, unchanging, and everlasting, indestructible, and therefore needs no healing or fixing or anything of the sort. What I do believe is that if we work with the tripod, we can then become better, cleaner instruments through which our spirit can flow through and then bring forth the healing that our body and our mind, our emotions need, and the thriving as well. Number two, what do I do on a day-to-day basis to incorporate health into myself? For my body, I drink lemon water every single morning, first thing in the morning, just like Annalisa said in her speech. But I've been doing that for a while now. I aim to exercise at least 7 times a week. Currently, I'm doing 4 to 5. I'm on a vegan diet, striving to be a full-on fruitarian, as you guys may recall from my icebreaker. Just got a couple of bananas and a couple of oranges about an hour ago, so that's moving towards the right direction. For my mental health, I like to critically think about a lot of things throughout the day, why I think the way I think, why do I come to certain conclusions, are these conclusions valid, where do they come from? And this has taken me further than it used to, because there's not much conflict, it's just more understanding. My emotional body is fed with something similar, a lot of positive, encouraging talks that I have in my head. Very constructive. Also read a lot of encouraging things on a daily basis. That helps. Now my third point is word of advice, suggestion. There is one thing that I have found that is the greatest piece of health ever. My elixir, for my own health. That is self-compassion. There's no better medicine than self-compassion. If we want to treat others better, we have to treat ourselves better first. Ever since I initiated and still continue to develop a loving, kind, and gentle relationship with myself, not only has that allowed me to keep going, but also has allowed me to see life with new eyes. In this way, it's been able to bring me the homeostasis that I need to thrive, to stay balanced. So love, love, love yourself. And the rest will follow. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Luis. Now please take 2 minutes to evaluate our last speaker. Just want to remind everybody to put your name on your evaluation form if you feel so inclined. If you don't want to, I'm not going to twist your arm, but I highly recommend it because it gives Luis the chance to actually know, who wrote it, so we can go to you and actually get deeper feedback if you so choose. And now it's my pleasure to call up our general evaluator, Rick Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. This is the evaluation section of the meeting. Toastmasters has been in existence for about 90 years, celebrating our 90th anniversary this year. Over 4 million people have gained expertise in communication and leadership through Toastmasters. And all this time, we've never had a professional teacher or anyone who's designated as the professor. We learn speaking by teaching ourselves. And an important part of this is evaluations, where you give your speech and your fellow Toastmaster will come up and evaluate you. So at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Annalisa, who will evaluate Luis's speech.
Good evening, everyone. So first of all, I wish that Luis had more time, because I feel like 5 minutes or 7, whatever it was, wasn't enough. Like, I wanted more. So I thought it was a really interesting topic. I'm interested in health, of course, so maybe that's why, but I'm sure everyone else thought it was really interesting. So the purpose of your speech was to organize your speech. You were supposed to have a clearly defined goal, so the audience knows what the goal of your speech was, and that you have a really solid beginning, body, and conclusion. Major facts or ideas, and appropriate supportive material with smooth transitions and ideas. So, I thought your introduction was very simple, but I caught my attention with your little singing, high, low, really quiet. So I was like, oh, I have to pay attention here. And then I appreciated that you went over what you were going to talk about. So you said these are the 3 main points, and I'm going to go through them, and you explain what they were. So that's great introduction. And then the body of the speech also was really engaging. You went over those 3 points. What I liked is you had you mentioned personal things about yourself, like personal health habits that you perform in your day today, such as for how you incorporate health. You drink a lot of water, you exercise, about the vegan, and then how you develop your mental health and your emotional body. So I like the personal aspect, sharing some of your healthy habits. And then the conclusion, people always tell me this, so I'm going to tell you this is one thing I would suggest, to just go over those 3 points again, just have a little more solid conclusion, just saying these are the 3 points, and maybe have one more thing. Though you did say love, love, love yourself. That part I really liked. That was a good ending, good way to end. They ask if this topic was meaningful to the audience. I would say yes. Did you research and rehearse? Yes. No notes. Really nice. You knew everything. Organization, it was very logical. And then transitions I thought were good as well. So, anything else to say? Suggestions? The other thing I would suggest would just be where you're standing. There's a little pacing. So, kind of stay where you are, maybe move one other place, that kind of thing. But overall, really great speech, excellent second speech, and excited to hear more.
Yes. Here. Thank you for waking me gently. I appreciate that. And now, my pleasure to introduce our table topics master, Samantha Young.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, viewers at home. Tonight, I am the Table Topics Master. Table Topics is the portion of our meetings where guests and members are welcome to practice extemporaneous speaking or impromptu speaking, which is the most common type of speech we do on a day-to-day basis from our friends, our families, coworkers. It's a different muscle that we use to come up with an answer or whatever we want to say in a clear, concise, quick manner. Table Topics allows us to practice this. So as volunteers, you'll come up, I'll ask you a question, we'll state your name for our timer. You'll have 30 seconds to collect yourself after I give you a question or a statement to speak on. And then you'll begin your 1 to 2 minute speech. And also, I like to mention, just in case people don't know, segueing is possible. So if I ask you something that you don't necessarily want to answer, then you can say, well, and state either whatever you want to state about the question, and then move into whatever you want to talk about. So you can spend your 1 to 2 minutes speaking about something that you want to talk about. Okay, May I please have some volunteers?
I'll do it. I mean,
All right,
so 1 through 6. 4. Suspense, thrillers, comedies, these are all genres of movies. What type of genre in movies do you gravitate towards and why? Got it?
I think I made up my mind. Thrillers. The thrill of life. The thrill of living. The uncertainty. The mysteries. Who's my neighbor? First day of school. Who will be my friends? Right? All this is thrill as part of life, and I think it's a really big theme in this life that we have. And I believe that the genre of thrillers in the movies, it just put it out to another level. It's just accelerated. The adrenaline in you is just rushed even more. It makes life more surreal, but at the same time relatable. Because we've been living a life full of thrills anyway, you know? It's relatable. But now it's just taken to an extreme. So we're just given a really big high boost of something that we're used to. It seems like we're living in a fantasy world. We're just drawn into a magical portal where now everything in life is just ×2. I like thrillers because it makes me feel more alive in the movies than in real life. So, that's it.
Any volunteers? Otherwise I have to start calling on people.
I'll enlist before I'm drafted.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, or 5 or 6.
6.
Tell us about a movie character you really connected with and why.
Okay, thanks. My all-time favorite movie is called Princess Mononoke. Raise your hand if you know that movie. We have a few people in the room. Now, despite its name, you might have certain imaginations as to what the movie is like. It has the word princess in it. But actually, Princess Mononoke is a violent and bloody anime movie. Packed, it's thrilling, and it's based in an imaginary world but in nature. And the main character. So the question was, who is my favorite movie character and why? Is Prince Ashitaka, and he rides a great red elk and shoots a bow and arrow, and he goes on this. I mean, the story is so epic, and what I love most about him is he's the example to me of both strength and love and connection with nature in this rich package that I aspire to be. So when I watch the movie, my whole self is vibrating with the excitement to be like Prince Ashitaka. Thank you.
Sounds like a blockbuster. Any volunteers? Awesome. Will? Okay, what's one of your favorite movies?
I didn't hear the question?
What's one of his favorite movies?
Okay.
One of my favorite movies is a film called Layer Cake. Has anybody seen this film? Yes. It's kind of a thriller, and it definitely has some action in it. And what it doesn't have a lot in it is heroics. It's kind of sort of a gray morality tale, in a way. There's a main character who actually is nameless. You never know his name. But he is the center of this film. And he happens to be a British drug dealer, or sort of a mid-level guy who's trying to get out, while he has people from the British organized crime syndicate that he is mildly affiliated with, trying to keep him in, to try to get him to do numerous things. Trying to unload some drugs from Amsterdam, trying to find a missing girl, trying to basically just keep everything together. And he's shot at, he's beaten up, he's thrown into all these situations. And yet he has to maintain this cool, because he is the natural deal maker. He has to go and deal with people that are very vicious, very cruel, very heartless, but yet he still finds a way to find common ground with them and to make them see that there's a benefit here, a win-win. I think there's a lot of lessons that you probably shouldn't take from this movie, but one that I like to bear in mind is the reservoir of calm in a sea of uncertainty. Thank you, Samantha.
Any more volunteers? Luis?
Yes, because I'm giving you this one. Movie snacks.
Popcorn, raisinets, soda, all stuff Luis doesn't eat. What movie snacks do you indulge in?
Snacks. Who doesn't like snacks? Everybody loves snacks. I mean, when you're watching movies, you want to watch the movie, you're satisfying your visual, your eyes, your mind, and all that. You also want to satisfy your other senses, right? You want to eat, you want to munch in other things and satisfy that. Maybe you could also play with your dog, satisfy your sensorial. You could hear some music, turn on some music too, that's good, and all those favorite things, but it doesn't let you be kind of present with whatever it is that you're doing. So as much as I love snacks, when I watch movies, I prefer to just watch them and not have snacks. Who am I kidding? I have snacks with movies all the time. I like to have fruits. It's usually a good snack that I like to have with movies, or maybe some water or some fruit smoothie, salad, like that. I may also have popcorn, as long as it doesn't have any butter in it, I'm cool. I'll eat that. Matter of fact, I have a friend who comes here all the time. His name's Nelson. He is like the popcorn king. He makes the best popcorn I've ever had. He puts all these seasonings in it, and coconut oil, and turmeric, and he won't even tell me his other secret things that he puts in it, but it's delicious. And it's all vegan, so I can eat it. And food service.
Do we have time for another one? Otherwise.
Time for four more.
Gene? Have you ever seen an epic failure of a movie?
No.
Tell us about a movie that has not been created yet that you think would be
Terrible.
a blockbuster film.
Oh.
fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home, I actually don't think that there is anything that has not had a movie made out of it. After a while, after you've been on the planet for a while, you start to see the same basic themes coming up in movies over and over again. My mother, for example, will go to a new movie that's just come out, and she'll say, oh, I've already seen it. She says, I don't want to see it, I've already seen it. And what she means is that plot, that we know what's going to happen, that plot has already been unfolded, and it's predictable, and therefore not worth going. I actually think that seeing movies at different times in your life, even if it's the same theme, might have a different result because I have changed. And I may experience something that I experienced earlier in a different light. But if you believe my mother, there's no movie that really hasn't been made. It's just better or worse in the 50s versus the 80s versus 2010. You can argue about it. I understand actually that Peter Pan is coming out live on Thursday, 2 days from now. It's a big deal, live TV. It's not quite a movie, although they have made Peter Pan movies, and I was listening to an NPR program today about the big hoopla around Peter Pan. If you remember the Mary Martin version, how huge that was, some of you guys maybe don't, but Peter Pan, you don't want to miss this on Thursday night. Peter Pan has been done, but this is going to be now, in the present, and you are who you are. I almost want to say, and I won't grow up, but I won't do that. Thank you.
Can I go in?
Yeah, of course. Okay, the only one I have left. Have you ever seen a movie you wanted to play the character?
Thank you. The question was if I ever wanted to play one of the characters. And this is probably one of my problems. I just have a hard time thinking of something on the spot like that. I thought that talking about movies would come really naturally to me. I do love the movies. I haven't, you know, a lot of people say that they don't watch TV, that they don't have a TV. And I have a TV, I just don't have cable. I'd say for 5 years out of my 31 years is when I've actually had a TV hooked up to cable. All growing up, my parents didn't even have one. So I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. In terms of movies, I can't name any actresses or actors at all. I'm like living under a rock. But I still enjoy them. My sister and her now husband, she met her husband working at a movie theater in Iowa City, and that's a huge part of my fond childhood memories. And you know, when I do get a chance to watch a movie, it's always more about the experience, the popcorn. We've got 2 dogs, and my boyfriend every single night eats about a 5-gallon bucket of popcorn in bed, and I'll have a handful or so, and the dogs will have a handful or so. So it's more about just cuddling and eating popcorn.
Okay, are we keeping table topics going?
Keep going.
Okay,
Two more.
here's Dan. Okay, this is your table topics question. If you tell us about a classic movie that shaped your ideas or beliefs about life.
think a classic movie, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest here, that
I feel so honored.
that has shaped my outlook on life to some extent is a World War II movie called The Bridge Over the River Kwai. It was such an interesting movie because it had these diverse elements. There was the whole theme of living through a prison camp experience, but at the same time, there was this railroad being built, and one faction of the prisoners developed this great sense of pride in building this railroad, even though they were building it for their enemy. And it came to a head at the end of the movie in this really amazing scene where the commander of that group tried to stop a group of commandos who had come to blow up a railroad bridge, which was, for the war effort. Like, the British commander tried to stop them because they were blowing up his project. Wow. Really, really quite interesting. Great acting. How did that affect me in my life? I was afraid we'd get to that before the red light. I think it was just a lesson in how almost anything that you can name in life is really not black and white. Not exactly, it's either this or this. There are many shades of gray, many different motivations that people have, many conflicting desires that they have to balance.
One more.
One more. Anybody?
I'll do another one if someone else doesn't want to go. Quick.
Sandy? Would you like to do a table topic?
I might cough.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Movies take millions, if not billions, of dollars to create. YouTube is user-generated audio and videos that most people don't spend any money on. This evolution of media throughout your time, how would you explain this to a toddler or a young child now, and how it's affected the evolution of human? Oh, that was that.
Wow.
Let me restate that. Okay. So movies are really expensive, and they take a long time to create, a lot of money, versus internet videos and movies take very little to create, and anybody can create them. So now the power is in the hands of whoever wants to create material. This evolution is mirrored that's mirrored in media is also mirrored in human evolution. So what's your thoughts on this? And if you want to
Segway.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. Well, my life has basically been the magic of movies and the magic of television. I grew up with it, whereas Lindsay didn't. It was my imagination. So for me, the difference between $1 million or $50 million on a movie, which I think nowadays with all these big blockbusters they have, is like a lot of waste with all the constant shooting and guns and blowing up and just constant, if there's no purpose to it. The movies created magic. All those millions of dollars went for the scenery and for the great actors and the costumes, so that you were transported into those times, that era of magic, of history. YouTube, I really enjoy. I think it's fantastic, but I think that for me, it doesn't transport me
into a different world. But it thrills me. I'm thrilled with YouTube and what I see on it. I don't go on very often, but I really enjoy YouTube, but there is a special magic in movies.
Thank you. All right. And it's my pleasure to welcome up the Table Topics Evaluator, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
ask time. May I please get the names of all of the table topics that qualified for the
Certainly,
time?
everyone qualified, and their names are DJ, Luke, Will, Luis, Jean, Lindsay, Sandy.
Awesome. So let's take a moment to vote. Everybody has a little slip.
Dan?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Anna?
Dan as well. He was second to last. I read right over you.
It's my pleasure to welcome up our table topics evaluators, Jean and Louis. First, Jean, and
I evaluated the first 4 table topics, starting with DJ, genres. Really liked that he gave everyday examples of thrillers. He said we're already used to having thrillers in our life, and actually it felt like it might be fun to be in DJ's shoes because it sounds like he has a lot of thrills going on throughout the day. And then he had good logic because he said, well, from there we're already used to thrillers in our daily life, and movies are just bigger, and so we're already familiar, but we get that extra adrenaline rush. I like the way he built that. From every day, here's our experience, up to, it made sense, logical to the movies. Suggestion for DJ, and he'll learn this, it would be to address the audience at the beginning, say fellow Toastmasters, guests, honored guest viewers at home, and just follow protocols, which you just learn from watching. So a little bit of handshaking, always handshake when we come up, and then we handshake when we're done. It's the handoff.
The handoff.
Handoff, right. Luke, favorite character. Luke gets passionate and he gets into it. His whole face gets animated, and I just love that with him. He had great hand gestures. He was using his hands throughout in creative ways. Of course, the bow and the arrow, very well done. He had a good use of a triad that I liked. He's strength, love, and I think it was nature or the environment. Triads are 3 things. They just feel good when someone says it's a this, this, and a this. And you'll learn about that in project number 4, but he's already got that going. The conclusion, he said, I think he said something like, my whole body vibrates to Prince Ashitaki or something like that, like a really vivid verb. And I got that. I was like, yeah, ooh, I got to go watch that. A suggestion would be to watch filler words and take a little more time to speak slowly. When your mouth gets ahead of your brain, that's when the filler words start happening because the mouth is hanging out. It doesn't have any content because the brain isn't there yet. So it starts putting in filler words. Take your time. You can still be passionate and excited, just a little bit more back in the heels, and the filler words won't be there. Will, favorite movies, Layer Cake. That is an excellent movie. Thank you. That's a great choice. He had humor. Told us a little bit about the movie, and then he says lessons. There are a lot of lessons there not to take, which is kind of funny. Makes you want to see it even more, doesn't it? And he also spoke more slowly. Will sometimes speaks fast, so that he would not start tripping over his words, and that was good. The suggestion would still be to work on holding back so that it doesn't get speeded up. And Luis, movie snacks, he gave us all these ways to enjoy movies and the sensory experience. You can just tell Luis is like out there with the senses. And he picked popcorn, which is an excellent choice. I do have a bowl every night just about drenched in olive oil, so you can tell Nelson. Thank you.
Our second evaluator will be Louis Demba.
Club members, guests, and viewers at home. So I evaluated the last 4 tabletop speakers, and the first one was Jean. What hasn't been made yet? She took her 30 seconds to think about the question. Tough question, so you need to use those 30 questions. She greeted us. And she did answer the question. And she gave kind of reasons, like, well, it's good that things haven't been made. You played both sides of the question, which I really liked. She had good eye contact and good gestures, very clear speaker. My only suggestion for you, Jean, is you said, oh, and I'm not going to do that. I would have done it.
I know.
I don't want to grow up. I don't want to get old. That would have been some great vocal variety to top off your tabletop. Lindsay, I'll start off with a suggestion because I'm going in order of how the table topic unfolds. I would take my 30 seconds, use it, and then also greet the audience. What I really liked about your table topic is it was almost like an icebreaker. I feel like I got to know so much more about you. You're 31 years old, and I love the expression, I was under a rock. That was a great, great metaphor. And you were very poised up there. I'd like to see you with a little bit more movement, facing the audience, connecting more with people, and that will come. Next, Dan. And he answered the question about a movie that shaped his life or his beliefs. He took the 30 seconds, he greeted us, and he answered the question. And I loved his humor when he said, how did this affect my life? I was hoping it wouldn't have to get there. So great humor. Gave you probably a little bit more time to think about what you were going to say. And you had good gestures. The suggestion I have for you is you were mainly in one place and you were mainly looking ahead. I would again engage people with eye contact and a little bit more movement on both sides of the stage. Last, Sandy Magrum, that crazy YouTube versus movie question. Now, as crazy as the question was, you did a really great job. And what I really liked is how you got into it. Like, this is magic. Movies were magic. I love that phrase and that theme that you had for that question. And then you actually had some great gestures and staging where you said, transported me, and you moved forward. And that was great. That was excellent. And the only suggestion I have for you is more vocal variety. You're very poised up there, but you're very even also. Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you. And now we'll have our reports, and I'll start with the timer's report. Lindsay.
All of the table topics qualified. They were all under 2 minutes, so nothing even close to going over. And Luis had 6 minutes and 23 seconds. And both of the last 2 evaluators had exactly 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And Annalisa had 2 minutes and 58 seconds.
Lindsay, could you read the times for each table
Certainly.
topic?
DJ, 1 minute 7 seconds. Luke, 1 minute 10 seconds. Will, 1 minute 56 seconds. Luis, 1 minute 24 seconds. Jean, 2 minutes 2 seconds. Lindsay, 1 minute 27 seconds. Dan, 2 minutes. Sandy, 1 minute 15 seconds.
Thank you. Now for our grammarian's report, Dan Craig. The most important thing first, the use of the word blockbuster. I was sitting there for a long time thinking nobody was going to use it, but Samantha used it twice, and Sandy used it once, and maybe somebody else did, but I didn't hear. There were lots of interesting phrases. It seemed like Jean and Louis mentioned most of them, but I'll say them again. Louise said, "My emotional body is fed by positive, encouraging thoughts." I thought I heard a word to be corrected, but I'm not sure. I thought at one point you said undestructible. It should be indestructible. Samantha, in one of her questions, said, "What type of genres do you gravitate toward?" I like that too. DJ said, "It makes life more surreal, but more relatable." Will, he's shot at, beaten up, but he has to maintain his cool because he's the deal maker. Gene, seeing movies at different times of your life can be a new experience because I have changed. Lindsay, I can't name any actors or actresses. I've been living under a rock. And Sandy, my life has been the magic of movies, the magic of television. That's my report.
Thank you, Dan. Now for the odd counter report, Sandy Maker.
So when I was first given this job, I was thinking, boy, I'm not going to be able to hear anybody's speeches because I'm going to be sitting there counting the ooh-ahs and buts and things. So I thought I was doing pretty good until Jean made a reference to Luke. So I think I must have listened to the speeches. Louis has nothing. Luke has one one so, one but. Will has one and. Dan has nothing. That's me. Rick has one so. Jean has two buts, one and. Annalise had one four so's, one but, and then four and thens. Okay. Luis had two so's, two buts. Samantha had one so and two false starts when we were trying to get the there. And DJ had one one so, one and. Lindsay had one one ah, and one so, and Sandy had two buts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Now our joke master, Gene Symington Craig, will make us laugh.
Got this compliments of one of you. Peter, St. Peter, is at the gate. He's standing there and looks out, and along comes Mary. I just said that. Along comes Mary, and Peter says, Mary, I haven't seen you for so long. And Mary says, I know. It's so good to see you, Peter. And Peter says, well, we've known each other down through the ages, and we've really gotten close, but there is a question that I have. And she says, yes, we have gotten close over the years. What is it you want to ask me? And he says, you've been seen in pictures and statues and stained windows and glass windows and all kinds of ways, but you always look sad when you're depicted. And why is that? She said, well, you know, Peter, I always wanted a little girl.
Thank you, Gene. Now it's that part of the program to evaluate the evaluators.
Wait, we didn't vote for the evaluators.
We didn't. And now it's the part of the program to vote for the evaluators. Did everyone qualify?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you whispering to me about the timing of the evaluators?
I was just saying that sometimes the table topics evaluators get more time, but
Oh, okay.
tonight they didn't. So,
But they can still go 30 seconds over?
yes.
Then yes, they all qualified.
Good.
Who are all of our evaluators? again?
Evaluators are Annalisa, Jean, and Louis.
Okay.
And now, I think it's time for the evaluation of the evaluators. And I'll start with Annalisa. Annalisa, very good evaluation. I enjoyed it very much. In the beginning, when you introduced Luis, you read the objectives. Even though you had to come back to it, you said the title, which sometimes people forget to do. I've forgotten to do that. You started out the evaluation with your appreciation of his speech. You read the objectives from the manual. It's important to do that. You were very observant. You picked up a lot of details from his speech and commented on that. And also you offered suggestions, a couple of suggestions to him. And you ended your evaluation with, again, some more positive comments. So it was very good structure. 3 suggestions I would have for you is a little more eye contact with the whole audience. Almost the whole speech you were looking at Luis, which is good. You want to direct most of your attention, but still at some point to the rest of the audience. Another thing is you may want to try not to repeat what Luis or the speaker did, but somehow explain what they did without actually giving examples. And the third thing is you paced a little bit, so watch your pacing. But overall, it was very good evaluation. Jean Symington Craig, very good evaluation. You gave positive comments and suggestions for all the speakers, all the table topic speakers. You were able to squeeze it all in the allotted time, which is a challenge when you're evaluating table topics because there's so many. You were very observant and had 2 or 3 observations, things they did well and things they could improve on for each speaker. You have very good natural vocal variety and a natural physicality in gestures, and that added to it. You gave examples of what you were saying. For example, when you wanted him to slow down, take your time. You spoke very slowly. I thought that was very good. One comment, you forgot to greet the audience. You forgot to greet the Toastmasters when you started. Louis, again, a very good evaluation. You came out in front, as Jean did, very physical. You gave something positive and an area to improve for each of the table topic speakers. Your style is different than Jean's in that you're a slower speaker, you're more paced, but still you were able to say 1 or 2 things about each speaker, which was very good. Very good vocal variety, a very natural, dramatic way of speaking, so that was good. The only suggestion I would have, and it's a challenge when you're doing evaluations, is try to look up more from your paper. A lot of times you're looking down on it, and it's difficult to do that, but one thing to work on. Thank you. I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our Toastmasters, Will Burns.
Thank you, Rick. This is the portion of the meeting where we do the meeting awards. Starting off, best speaker. Big surprise there? Luis. Come on. Best table topics, Luke.
Oh, all right.
And finally, best evaluator, Lewis.
All right. The L boys did it tonight. Luke, Louis and Louise, yes.
And now we're going to call up one of the L boys back up again. Our president, Louis Denbach.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Well, we had a small group here tonight, but we had a dynamic group. And it was a great meeting as far as I'm concerned. One of the things that warmed my heart tonight is we have 2 new people doing roles in an excellent way. The timing was impeccable. Sandy managed to not be distracted by the speeches, and that happens all the time. I know when I first started doing the accounting, I actually wouldn't look at the speakers because I knew if I did, I'd get lost. So, and Annalisa, congratulations on your first evaluation. We look forward to having you in the role now of qualified evaluators. So, excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any club business? Yes, Dan.
Just a cameraman suggestion, try to avoid walking back and forth in the center aisle. It's a weird shot.
A weird shot. Okay, so meaning in here walking back?
It's better to go around.
Oh, you're talking about the people when they come?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, does everyone understand what Dan is requesting? When you go back to your seat, go back on either side and come up on either side. Okay. Jean?
Just reminded me that we have a youth leadership program that is getting ready to graduate this Sunday, and you all are invited, but you have to let me know so we can just count the right number of heads. But it's going to be 6 o'clock on Sunday. Sam knows about it. Sam's double, doing here, and is in the youth leadership program too. Practice. At 6 o'clock on Sunday the 7th at La Hacienda. The students are going to be doing some speeches. We're going to do some table topics. We're just going to hand out certificates of completion. It's just been a really rewarding experience to be with them, and this is great. So I think even if you just want to come, even if you don't get a hold of me, I think that would be okay. So just put it in there, delicious Mexican meal, and a bunch of young budding Toastmasters flexing their muscles and trying their wings. I'm going to mix all my metaphors. But, it's a good thing. It'll be very entertaining and rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing both of you, for running this program.
Yes.
Quite valuable.
Could I just say, and
Sure.
I
It's about the
apologize because Will has been the assistant coordinator for this program. He's come to lunch here, and he has been invaluable because I taught the same course in the spring, and having Will this time has been really it's like a Mercedes-Benz experience, really, really well. And there's 16 students in it, so it's not a small group. So thank you. Yes, and thank you, Will.
Jean, will you send an email to the club because the people here, if they want to come, who aren't here?
Oh, that's right. I will. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Good.
So one other really exciting thing happened the other day. As some of you may remember, we had the area coordinator come and visit us. He surprised us. He just showed up. How many people were here for that meeting when Corey came? Okay. So Corey's job is to oversee 5 or 6 clubs in a small area. That's why he's called the area governor. And then he reports to the division governor. So there's 4 or 5 area governors that report to the division governor. So Corey did a report. He's required to do this very lengthy report on every club he visits. And he sent me the report. I guess he's required to do that. The report that we got was like off the charts. All the suggestions. No suggestions. These guys are on it. No, they do everything right. They're using Toastmaster materials. They're on it. I mean, he was bowled over. So I'm going to forward that report on to the whole group. It's just really phenomenal, and we just do an incredible job, and people recognize it from the outside. Luis.
When did he come? I don't recall.
It was about 3 weeks before we were supposed to have the area contest. It was about, well, let's see. When did, what's her name speak?
Maybe end of September.
Yeah, beginning of October. Beginning of October. So I will forward that to the club and just look at it. You will be very pleased that you're in this club, because this club does do things better than almost all the other. We're in the top 1% the way we run it. So we should be really thankful. So that just pushes the envelope for all of us to be the best we can be. Any other club business?
Just want to quickly give out some ribbons here.
Sure.
Quick for the Topic Communicator Project number 2. Luis. Your speed. And Luke for the best table topics.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. There is some discussion, or the beginning of discussion at the office level, of whether or not we're going to take any Tuesday off close to Christmas and New Year's. Now, there's been a long tradition of not ever taking any time off, and whoever comes, comes. And then we did have, I think last year, we did take one time off. Do you remember, Jean?
Well, we often were off a little bit in August because Tom was the cameraman, and it just was kind of the summer doldrums, and we did that. Christmas, you know, that zone, it kind of depends on what day of the week it's falling.
Yeah.
This year it's Thursday. You know, it just depends. I don't see it as it's not like Christmas is Tuesday or Wednesday, so that would have been Christmas Eve. That would not be a good one. But
So what we'll do is we'll send an email out to everybody, and if you would please respond rather quickly, stating that you're not going to be in town or you're not going to want to come to a Toastmaster meeting. Then we'll see what we have. Yes.
the other reason that we try not to cancel meetings, of course, is it's not just us. It's the fact that we're always advertising and inviting people and say that they can come by. We are concerned that we have someone who's finally ventured out to come over, and then they find out that there's nobody here and the meeting isn't happening. So that is one of those as well.
So I think we can just have the Vice President of Membership be here to greet those potential members.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
And maybe our cameraman will show up with her. And they can have a piece of pizza.
Yeah,
if no one
we'll
shows.
do some shopping. We'll keep an eye on things.
Any further business? Does anyone have a motion to adjourn?
Move to close.
Anyone second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.